Assalamualaikum and very good morning. So today I would like to present topics of anatomy and physiology of coronary circulation. My supervisor is Prof. Dr. Muhammad Hashizana. Okay, first we go through the past years for these topics.
We go to the questions later on in this paper. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, first we go to the coronary circulation. Coronary circulation is the functional blood supply to the muscle itself. It comprises of the coronary arteries and the cardiac veins. It has collateral roots. So ensure blood delivery to the heart even if major vessels are occluded. No massive events occurs. So it's received about 5% of the blood pump from the heart. So about 5% from the cardiac output, around 200 to 250 mils per minute. So blood vessels receive both from sympathetic and parasympathetic innervations. So this is the diagram. So later on we go specifically. So the vessels that supply or drain the heart comprises of the arteries and veins. So it is so arteries, there are right and left coronary artery. So right, so inilah right and left coronary arteries, right and left coronary arteries arises from the aortic roots. Sama je lah gambar dia sebenarnya. So in arterioventricular groove ada marginal circumflex, and then arterial interventricular arteries, posterior interventricular arteries in the interventricular groove. So veins, there are small cardiac veins, anterior cardiac veins, great cardiac veins, posterior veins to the left ventricle, coronary sinus, and middle cardiac veins. So next, we go to the coronary arteries. So the coronary arteries originate as the right and left main coronary arteries exit the ascending aorta just above the aortic valve, the coronary ostia. So these two branches subdivide and cross over the surface of the heart, which is the epicardium, as they transverse away from the aorta. So progressively, it divides into the smaller branches, then progress inward to penetrate the epicardium, and then subsequently they supply the transmural myocardium. So eventually branch into the arterioles, the smallest, then branch into innumerable capillaries through which blood will begin its flows back to the cardiac chambers. Okay, so the right coronary artery. So the right coronary arteries arises from the right aortic sinus of the ascending aorta. It runs in coronary or AV groove. So descends in the coronary groove, then curves posteriorly behind mixed bend at the crux of the heart and continuous downward in the posterior interventricular sulcus. So the branches, so as we can see, the branches to the SA node here, the SA node, SA nodal artery near the RCA lah. So origin supply SA.
27%. Supplied by what? Second solid response. Okay.
So right marginal branch, they supply right border of the heart. They runs towards but not reaching the apex lah, the right marginal branch. So for the AV nodal artery, at roots of the heart, they supply the AV node, about 50 to 60% of the hearts lah. So then the posterior interventricular branch within the posterior interventricular groove, they descend in the posterior interventricular groove toward the apex of the heart. So it supply both ventricles and send the perforating interventricular septal branches to the interventricular septum. So this is the summary lah, the right the RCA, right coronary artery, supplies right atrium, most of the right ventricles, part of left ventricles, the diaphragmatic surface, but usually posterior third lah of AV septum, and SA node is 60%, AV node is 80% lah. In CVS disease, right coronary artery branches supply SA and AV nodes. Hence, blockage in these vessels can lead to conduction abnormalities. So next we go to the left coronary artery. So the left coronary artery arises from the left aortic sinus of the ascending aorta. So it passes between the pulmonary trunk and the left auricle in the coronary groove. Left coronary artery. So it branches to the anterior interventricular branch, or we call left anterior descending artery. So passes along the interventricular groove. Inilah yang the yellow one, the yellow color highlighted. So passes along the interventricular groove to the apex of the heart, turns around the inferior border and anastomoses with the posterior interventricular artery. So it supplies both the ventricles and interventricular septum. So it gives rise to the lateral diagonal branches like kat sini. Descends on anterior surface of the heart. So next we go to the circumflex artery. So circumflex artery, so yang the highlighted yellow one. So follow coronary groove around the left border to the posterior surface of the heart. So it gives rise to the left marginal artery, follows the left margin of the heart and supplies the ventricle. It terminates on posterior aspect of heart, often anastomosis with the posterior interventricular branch. So this is the summary. Coronary arteries supply lah, the right coronary artery sama je sebenarnya. So kalau left coronary artery tu, macam tak nampak sikit. The left coronary artery, left anterior descending artery, dia supply anterior and lateral wall of left ventricle, most of the left ventricle, interventricular septum, anterior 2/3, right and left under branches. Left coronary artery, the left circumflex artery, dia supply juga SA node lah, 40 to 45% yang before. So left atrium, AV node and bundle of His 10%, lateral wall of left ventricle, posterior wall of left ventricle 10%, and then posterior third of interventricular septum 10%. So this is the general overview lah of the coronary arteries. Two left main trunk, the number 2 is left anterior descending artery, 3 left circumflex artery, and right coronary arteries. Okay, next we go to the venous supply. So this is the coronary venous supply.
Go to the venous supply. What do you think of me first of coronary artery blood supply? Why do you need to know about this?
That is key.
Okay, because first of all, you want to determine the sections of the heart, being supplied by each artery. And it's not only that, but it's also important for you to know whether this patient is right dominant, then dominant. Based on the supplies of the heart, then you know if this patient is right dominant or left dominant. Okay, that's the first thing. So what's the other things that important for you to know about the artery does? As you said just now, where does your coronary arteries originate from? Sorry? What's the question? Originated from after that, after the aortic root becomes silent of a valve. And then you have your silent ventricular junction, you got to from your ascending aorta. Okay. So what's the significance of you knowing this? Okay. From your aortic root, after your aortic valve, then you have your aortic root over there. And then these two coronary buttons branch out from there, which is the right coronary button, or you call it right or left coronary sinus, which is the same. Or sometimes you call it left or right coronary sinus. But what are the significance of you knowing this story? Which of these right side and left side is not really located?
Left side.
Left side. Yeah. So what are the left side? Anteriorly located. Yeah, actually right side.
Right side.
Your right side, your right coronary button is more anteriorly located as compared to your left coronary button. Because you have your groove over there. You know, that. If you go left side from so far you your side from being more anteriorly located. But right side is more anteriorly located. What's interesting about this, when you actually do your cardiac surgery and then you cross clamp the patients, you know, since the right side of the heart is more anteriorly tilted, first of all, it is less protected with the hydroplasia. You know, it's very gravitational effect. Gravitational effect. So your left side is more protected as compared to your right side, because your right side is anteriorly tilted. Then the second thing, if you have a bubble or everything else, so it's better to go to the right side rather than the left side. So that's why in certain cases, you know, in some condition, when the patient does not really have what we call this right side dysfunction from the very beginning. You know, the right side is okay. Right heart function is okay from the very beginning. But somehow after the bypass, we see that the right function is not really good. It is because of the right side is not properly protected. Or the air actually goes inside there, causing the right side heart failure. Okay, if this is so-called intermittent, you know, it's the temporary effect of your apa namanya tu surgery towards your the namanya right side of the heart. It's not going to be permanent, but you can have this kind of right side dysfunction temporary after the operations. Yeah. Other things, what is important about this lowering this blood supply? Okay, when we're actually looking at the left side, okay, the left side consisted of left main stem
Midround.
and subsequently
And
divided into your LAZ and also your
let's
actually the subdivided to diagonal, marginal, whatnot. So what is the important for you? What is the important thing here is that, you know, when you have a patient who has left main stem disease, you know, you have a severe left main stem disease, it's actually reflecting that the patient has a very high risk for infarction or ischemia when you have hypertension. So for this kind of patient, you have to be more cautious, more vigilant on how you actually treat the patient. Okay, if you have this kind of patient with left main stem disease, whenever in your OP or whatever, okay, then this is a alarming sign for you to take precautions. Okay, because this kind of patient can just get an eye after that. Okay, and it's not only the left main stem disease. If the patient has osteal disease of your LAD or your circumflex, and your circumflex, not all, and osteal disease of LAD and osteal disease of circumflex. So it is called LMS equivalent, in which, in other way, it manifests with the severity of LMS disease. You get it? Okay? And same goes if it is a proximal disease. Kalau you tengok kan, kalau you macam buat case kan, apa namanya tu, when you see the patient with angiogram, you see the angiogram proximal LAD, proximal circumference. That should trigger your mind that there's something, this is something, apa namanya, not simple. Okay? Okay, then you said something about the branches of your LAD and circumflex subsequently going into the myocardium, you know, supplying the epicardium and perforate into your myocardium. So what is the significance of you knowing this?
the blood flow.
Tadi kan ada statement tadi kan?
So the coronary blood flow during systole and diastole, which one is continuous and which one is intermittent?
Okay, that will go towards your coronary, apa namanya, function failure later on. But what is the significance of you knowing this? Yeah, it also related to that.
Which part cause infarction?
Which part cause infarctions? Okay, if you have a condition in which your heart is hypertrophic,
Okay.
as example in aortic stenosis, you know, when you have a patient with aortic stenosis, you have a pressure loaded system, because it has to overcome the impedance towards the stenotic vessels, right? So your heart subsequently become hypertrophic. So when your heart become hypertrophic, the muscle mass become increased. When your muscle mass become increased, so what will happen to your perforators? This vessel perforators that perforate into the myocardium. It can get instructed supply. Whenever apa namanya tu your pressures,
High.
your pressures goes down. Because you know that your coronary artery perfusion pressure is equal to what? What's the formula of coronary artery? I believe that all of you should know about this before you come into the CNE. Pernah Kamarul, saya Kamarul. Kamarul. Kalau kita lupa. Sorry. Koyum. Koyum. Aku nak jawab. Kamarul. Kamarul. What's the formula for apa nama coronary artery perfusion pressure? Koyum. What is the formula for coronary artery perfusion? Siapa nama Astaghfirullahalazim. Saya kenal some of you je. Faiz lah, Faiz Taqiyuddin. Saya ingat Mustaqim pula. Okay, Faiz Taqiyuddin. What is the formula for coronary?
Pressure minus the internal and the pressure.
Yes. Another way is a aortic pressure minus your your pressure inside your ventricle, whichever ventricle, whether it's a right ventricle or left ventricle, and which phase it is. Okay, kalau yang systolic part, left systolic ventricular pressure. Okay, kalau in diastolic phase is left ventricular diastolic pressure on the left side of the heart. Same goes to the right side. I think that makes sense. Okay, so what will happen in a patient with aortic stenosis when you induce hypotension? You know that your what we call this your left side of the is mainly supplied in the diastolic phase only, as compared to right side of the heart. Conditionally, when I say it's conditionally, there's a time when your right side also become phenomenal uniplexic blood supply of the heart or the other side can uniplexic. Okay, left side of the heart mainly supplied during diastolic phase, right? So what will happen if you have reduce in your aortic pressure? Okay, what will happen because your diastolic pressure is higher now, so the preparatus there is not being supplied. So it can induce myocardial ischemia in a patient with aortic stenosis. This is why when you have a patient with severe aortic stenosis with coronary artery disease, that's a very dangerous alarm sign for you. Okay, usually patient with aortic stenosis, they have a better coronary, better sense can got protected them. Because if they have both, then that's it. So that's why bila you tengok apa namanya sign and symptom of patient with aortic stenosis. What is the most frequent symptom for the patient with aortic stenosis? Not simple, misalnya. Okay, it can be dyspnea. Okay, fine, not really that dyspnea. Chest pain. This is chest pain. The patient with aortic stenosis typically presented with chest pain. Because why? Because this interruption of your blood supply, they can have a tendency to death. Myocardial ischemia because of that. Okay. Of course, they can have all these kind of presentation yang aortic stenosis present kan. Okay. Great. Okay. Move on.
Okay, next we move to the venous supply. So the venous supply, there is great cardiac vein, coronary sinus, anterior cardiac vein. They branch into the small cardiac vein and the middle cardiac vein. So most of the coronary venous blood flow is from the left ventricular muscle. It returns to the right atrium of the heart by the way of the coronary sinus. The coronary sinus arrow tu. So it runs from left to right in the posterior part of the coronary groove, which is about 75% of the total coronary blood flow. So, and then most of the coronary venous blood from the right ventricular muscle returns through small anterior cardiac veins, flow directly into the right atrium, not by way of the coronary sinus. So only a very small amount of coronary venous blood also flows back into the heart through very minute Tevesian veins, which empty directly into all chambers of the heart. So other vein, this is the great cardiac vein lah. Anterior interventricular vein begins near the apex lah kalau tengok. So essence with anterior interventricular branch of the LCA lah. Selalunya dia macam dia sebelah-sebelah dengan ni. arteries. So at the coronary groove, dia turns left and dia turn ke kiri and runs around with the circumflex branch to reach the coronary sinus. So drains the area supplied by the LCA lah. So for the oblique vein of left atrium, the small vein that runs over the posterior wall of the LA, they merge with the great cardiac vein to form the coronary sinus. It is the remnant of the embryonic left of SVC, basically. So third one, small and middle cardiac vein, they drain most of the areas supplied by the RCA. So the fourth one is the anterior cardiac vein. Small veins begins over the anterior surface of the right ventricle, cross over the coronary groove, so usually end directly in the RA or enter the small cardiac vein. They drains the right ventricle. The last one is the smallest cardiac veins, vena cordis or trapezium vein. So it is the minute vessels that empty directly into the chambers of the heart.
Okay, what are the significant things that you can get from the drainage of the fluid? Clinical significance.
Clinical.
First of all, you know, most of our cardiac veins actually drains into your
Coronary sinus.
So this coronary sinus will open where?
Open the
Coronary sinus will open kat mana tak tulis? Yes, right atrium. So it will subsequently drain to the right atrium. So later on, I mean, your right atrium will get the oxygenated platform chambers of the heart towards your right atrium subsequently goes to the lung or whatever. Okay, so the significance of it, of course, when you're talking about coronary sinus, it does not have shunt there. But when you're talking about the trapezium vein or small vein, this vein actually goes, I mean, the drain inside the cardiac chamber. You know, the right side of cardiac chamber and the left side of your cardiac chamber. This makes it significant for this cardiac shunt. Okay? When it drains to the left side, okay? When it drains to the left side, so you will have a cardiac shunt over there. Okay, and another thing, you have this coronary sinus. This is also the place where you actually put in your cardioplegia. Okay, when you want to put in retrograde cardioplegia, you put over there. Okay, then another things, because of this coronary sinus, the oblique vein and its drainage into that, embryologically, okay, if you have a patient with coronary sinus ASD, because of the deformity of your formations of your groove at your oblique vein towards your coronary sinus too, then you can get this another type of ASD, which is we call it as coronary sinus ASD. Okay, actually ASD you have 4 types, kan? Tak tahu. ASD ada certificate we have 4 types actually. Kita ada secundum, primer, sinus venosus, and also your coronary sinus ASD. Okay. So those are the important clinical significance when you are talking about the venous drainage, okay, of your hearts. Tapi dalam exam saya dia tanya pasal shunt tu lah. Okay, yang tidak CN vein contributing with that as a shunt. Ya, cardiac shunt.
Okay,
Tapi saya dah tahu
next.
semua lah sebab nanti orang buat kajian. Okay, then
Okay, next we go to the coronary physiology. So coronary blood flow, the resting coronary blood flow is 250 mils per minute lah. As I said earlier, it is 5% of the cardiac output. So it has high oxygen extraction lah. Arterial oxygen extraction is 70 to 80% compared with 25% for the rest of the body lah. Yang paling banyak dekat jantung lah.
Second. Where is the other place that has
the other
high
place.
extraction? Where is the other place that has high oxygen extraction ratio? Yeah, I agree that heart has the most. Yeah. Yes, it lah. Yeah, it has a higher symptom of your oxygen extraction ratio. Okay.
Okay, later kita explain nanti. So this is so this is the determinants of the coronary blood flow lah. First
This is a
coronary.
very important topic. Yeah, I believe that all of you should That you know about this, because yang a lot of clinical significance and it is common between us in that time. So during the Viva ke, during the SAQ ke, most of that actually comprises of these important points as the points that you have to include in. Okay? Okay.
So the determinants of coronary blood flow. So the driving pressure for the flow dekat heart to flow is coronary perfusion pressure lah.
By the formula just now.
By the formula just now that derived actually from the Ohm's law lah. Semua orang tahu kan. So perfusion time.
What do you mean by perfusion time?
Perfusion time is the
Yeah.
masa that's
Specifically when you're talking about the left side of the heart, so the diastolic time, because your left side of the heart being supplied mainly during the diastolic. It also correlates with your coronary pressure in some sense. But heart rate is one of the main determinant for your apa namanya tu
perfusion time.
coronary blood flow. Okay.
So an increase in heart rate will reduce the perfusion time lah. So vasomotor tone, examples myocardial metabolism, autoregulation, nervous control, humoral control, vascular endothelium. Later on, I will explain more lah in next slide. So disease affecting the coronary blood flow, examples as coronary artery disease, hypertension, and heart failure. So example of drugs is antiplatelet, anticoagulants, and lipid-lowering drugs, nitrates, beta blockers, vasopressors, and inotropes. That's the overall pictures. So next we go in detail coronary perfusion pressure. So during systole, this is two graph lah. Yang first one is aortic pressure on the y-axis, and on the x-axis is same lah time, but the below one is on the y-axis tu adalah coronary blood flow lah. You kena tengok dia punya unit is mils per 100 gram per minute. So the phases is same lah during systole and during systole and during diastole. So during systole, the intramuscular blood vessels are compressed by heart muscles and blood flow to the left ventricle as it lowers lah. Some books cakap no blood flow at all, some books cakap lowers lah. So the force is greatest in the subendocardial layers where it approximates to intramyocardial pressure. So in systole, the intramyocardial blood is propelled forwards towards the coronary sinus and retrogradely into the epicardial vessels, so which act as capacitors lah. So flow then they resumes during the diastole. During diastole when the muscle relax. So the coronary perfusion pressure, so as Kamarul said before, so the coronary perfusion pressure is the difference between the aortic diastolic pressure and left ventricular and diastolic pressure for the left ventricle. So vice versa, there's phasic changes dekat right ventricle. Bload flow to the right ventricle happen both during systole and during diastole. So during systole, so we look at the lower part. So during dekat left side of the heart, as we can see, this is the cis part of the blood flow lah, dekat early part of systole. And then we can say that there is greater coronary blood flow during early diastole in the left ventricle. So this is shortfall in the coronary blood flow during isovolumetric contraction. Whereas in the right side of the heart, there is phasic flow lah, or we call continuous flow. Kalau left side tu, we also call intermittent flow lah, intermittent and continuous. But conditionally lah, as Prof said, right side.
What are the conditions? Since you say it's conditionally.
In the disease.
Yeah, what sort of disease? Simple. It's actually when you have a patient with pulmonary hypertension. Bila you dapat patient with suprasystemic pulmonary hypertension, you expect the right ventricular pressure to be increased as well. Because flows are always follows the pressure, kan? So right, from the high pressure to the low pressure. So when you have patient with pulmonary hypertension, so the right ventricular pressure akan increase. So this is condition when your systolic blood flow of the right side can cease. You know, in the patient is pulmonary hypertension. That is why the patient yang ada apa namanya tu pulmonary hypertension, sometimes you do not do the operation, you know, because it can actually cause cardiac arrest during patients.
So as you can see, the right coronary, the greater coronary blood flow is during systole. So next we go to perfusion time lah. So as we said earlier, any increase in heart rate, it will impinge on diastolic time lah, more than systolic time, and will reduce the perfusion time. So this is our cardiac cycle. Actually, perfusion pressure. So this is the coronary perfusion pressure lah. Kalau boleh highlight ke sini. Kalau boleh tengok, dia punya diastolic kiranya ada flow, and then kalau systolic ni left side of the heart kiranya no flow.
Because your ventricular pressure higher than the pressure. And
So
that's
the-
when your left ventricular flow towards your extra vessel, towards your cardiac cycle, towards your coronary sinus, as you said just now. Okay.
So for the myocardial metabolism, coronary blood flow is exactly in proportion to the oxygen demand of cardiac muscles. So normally about 70% of the oxygen in the coronary arterial blood is removed as the blood flows through the heart muscles. Coronary blood flow increases almost in direct proportion increment of the metabolic consumption of oxygen by the heart. So vasomotor tone is almost exclusively determined by the local metabolic oxygen demand. Examples, hypoxia can cause coronary vasodilation, adenosine, ATP sensitive potassium channels, nitric oxide, and carbon dioxide. So pre-capillary sphincters are relaxed and more capillary
That's faculty in the passage.
lung. Okay. Next ada diagram nanti. So for the auto-regulation, under resting conditions, coronary blood flow remains constant lah between MAP of 60 to 140 millimeter mercury. And so beyond this range, flow becomes pressure dependent. So the probable mechanisms include the myogenic response to intraluminal pressure changes, which is fast, and the metabolic regulations is slow lah. So the myocardial oxygen tension and presence of vasoconstrictors or vasodilators influence the range of coronary autoregulation. So next we go to nervous control. Autonomic influences are generally weak lah. So any change in blood pressure, heart rate and contractility dominate the subsequent response. So intramuscular and subendocardial blood vessels predominantly have beta-2 receptors vasodilation lah. So sympathetic stimulation increases myocardial blood flow through an increased metabolic demand and a predominance of beta receptor activation. So parasympathetic influences are minor and weakly vasodilatory by the acetylcholine. So next we go to humoral control. Antidiuretic hormone in physiological concentrations has little effect on the coronary circulations, but it causes vasoconstriction in stress patients. So the other peptides cause endothelium-mediated vasodilatations. But angiotensin 2 causes coronary vasoconstriction, so independent of the sympathetic innervation. So enhanced calcium influx and release of endothelin, the strongest vasoconstrictor peptide yet identified in humans. So the angiotensin converting enzyme inactivates bradykinin, which is a vasodilator. So the vascular endothelium is the final common pathway lah regulating the vasomotor tone. So vasorelaxants are endothelium-derived relaxing factor. Examples, nitric oxide, prostacyclin, and bradykinin. Vasoconstrictors include endothelin and thromboxane A2. So the net response depends on the balance between the two opposing groups. So this is the summary lah. So the diagram they summarize the factors that affect the coronary vasomotor tone. So the regulation of coronary artery diameter and consequently blood flow to the myocardium lah. So it has 4 basically. Dia punya yang effect lah. So increased myocardial contractile activity will increase the metabolism, which can cause reduced myocardial pressure of oxygen. This will induce the potassium ATP channels, hydrogen peroxides, the hydrogen peroxides, nitric oxide and adenosines lah. So other metabolite factors such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and potassium lah. So, and then the myogenic mechanism, the vagus nerve, the weakest lah compared to the sympathetic nerves. Okay, last one is the disease that affect the coronary blood flow lah. So coronary artery disease, deposits of the lipids, smooth muscle proliferations and endothelial dysfunctions will reduce the diameter of the blood vessels. So resting flow becomes affected if the diameter is reduced by 80%. So with increasing stenosis, distal arterioles dilate maximally to preserve flow up to the point where the vascular bed is maximally dilated lah. So further stenosis can lead to a drop in flow. So flow becomes pressure dependent. So flow diverted into a dilated parallel bed proximal to a stenosis is called coronary stilla, can aggravate, worsen the ischemia. So next is hypertension. So disease that affect hypertension, the left ventricle undergoes hypertrophy in response to the raise of the load lah. So the raised intramyocardial pressure lowers the subendocardial blood flow and thus dia akan increasekan heart work and oxygen demand. So hypertrophic heart tissue doesn't respond well to low oxygen levels, which is hypoxia lah, so makes it more susceptible to ischemia. Lastly is heart failure. So impact ejection results in larger diastolic volumes. So raised left ventricular end diastolic volume and lower coronary perfusion pressure. Sympathetic mediated systemic vasoconstriction may help to improve the myocardial perfusion, but this can increase the pressure load and oxygen demand. That's all.
You can have ICQ. ICQ ni nanti discuss lah ya. Something yang related to see.
So actually there is 4 SCQ that I've shared. But this October 2021 is the yang paling, the topics is more on the coronary blood flow lah. So to A, briefly describe the anatomy of the coronary circulation to the heart. 2 marks. B is with the aid of diagram, explain the coronary blood flow that occurs during the cardiac cycle. C, describe the determinants of coronary blood flow.
Simple soalan dia. Jawab kan? Easy kan?
So, what is it?
Okay. So what did the what sick?
Tak keluar.
Tak keluar?
Tak keluar. Keluar.
Sebab 2021 ni I tak jadi examiner. I pun tak ingat.
Ada tak ada?
Ada. So if you able to answer this question or you need my help to
Tapi saya ada share jawapan dan kenapa examiner report dia tak keluar? Saya baca je lah. Dia keluar dekat. Okay, from a total of 172 candidates who sat for the SCQ paper, 88% lah pass this question. 88. So the
picture lah. It's quite straightforward.
So the cardiovascular questions opens with asking to briefly describe the anatomy of the coronary circulations to the heart. So most of the candidates were able to answer these questions well. Marks are awarded for mentioning origin of the coronary artery, the right and left coronary artery and its supplies, and venous drainage to coronary sinus and the TBCN veins. More than a few candidates forgot to mention the venous drainage.
Tanya coronary circulation kan?
Do note now that the question asks for coronary circulation rather than the arterial supply.
Kan, maksudnya you kena bagi tahu dua. So that's why you need to apa namanya tu read the question properly. Sometimes dia akan tanya coronary artery supply ataupun coronary blood supply saja. Tapi bila tanya coronary circulation, you know that circulation of what really? After circulation support. So there is a supply and drainage lah kan. Okay, Rabi.
Yang ni yang B keluar. Yang ni examiner report for B lah with the aid of diagram. Explain the coronary blood flow that occurs during the cardiac cycle. So this is the diagram, the examples of diagram lah.
So usually when you actually reflect the diagram should have apa namanya tu levels for your axis untuk your unit as well. Dan take notes that you have to put your axis correctly. And that's our patients when you actually have it the other way around and then the marks is just potong. Although your explanation is correct, but because the question asks you to draw a diagram, your diagram is wrong in that case. So totally postmortem. So apa namanya tu wash up with your diagram. Yeah, axis of your diagram. Sebab I pernah tengok sebelum-sebelum ni answer cake student bila dia explain betul tapi diagram dia salah, tapi still consider as 0 point. Yeah. Okay. So saya tak have clean code sebab dia orang tak tahu dah kot. Yeah. So ada siapa-siapa yang tak faham konsep of coronary artery perfusion pressure. Okay kan? Okay, next.
Actually the slides yang tadi tu boleh. So the last one is describe the determinants of coronary blood flow. So many candidates were not able to answer this question properly lah. Marks were awarded for understanding the basic concept of blood flow, especially in relation to the coronary blood flow. So most of the candidates only mentioned about the coronary vascular resistance and local factors affecting the autoregulation. Although tachycardia, reducing diastole is one of the simple concepts.
Saya pun cakap tadi, bila waktu tak masukkan diastolic time to know kan, so this is one of the comment from the examiners, yeah.
So not stated lah by many candidates. Some listed the determinants without explanation of the mechanism or specific examples. Do note that describe is stated in the questions. So a few did not even attempt to answer these questions.
Kalau yang tak attempt tu mungkin kat sebab masa lah kot.
Actually, this is macam from the examiner report lah. I think boleh put juga lah examples dia. So the determinants are first one is arterial pressure lah. So depends on cardiac output, systemic vascular resistance. For example, low arterial pressure contributes to low coronary perfusion pressure. So second, intraventricular pressure. Actually, they derive from the equation of the coronary perfusion pressure lah. So intraventricular pressure, greater intraventricular pressure contributes to low coronary.
Coronary perfusion pressure tu by right have to subjective one already. Because it's actually consisted of fat, lysogen, consideration. Ya, arterial pressure lah ataupun aortic pressure. Okay.
So in this, dia bagi example aortic stenosis. So low arterial pressure plus high intraventricular pressure reduce left coronary perfusion pressure. So third point barulah coronary vascular resistance lah. Dia bagi Hagen-Poiseuille's law. So what factors that affect the radius, and then the
Autoregulations.
autoregulations. And then under cardiac cycle, mentioned during systole, the intramuscular blood vessels are compressed and twisted by the contracting heart muscles, and the blood flow to the left
Kalau you
ventricle
cerita
loss.
pasal diastolic time pun acceptable, you know, for the same things. That to reflecting the same things, you know, cardiac cycle,
Flow, and then flow resumes during diastole. Basic changes, blood flow to the right ventricle less pronounced because of the lesser force of contraction. Last one, perfusion times lah, sama. So
Jadi jawapan dia kan mana?
examiner report dia bagi.
Okay.
So boleh pakai.
Okay. So easy question for the SQ1 lagi.
So sama je lah, nanti tengok lah, nanti I share.
Apa lagi soalan lain?
So this is the April. Actually April ni dia pasal mix lah basically. I think we can answer the part B. So April 2021, a young healthy man is suffering from severe emotional stress lah, waiting for an interview. So so actually the B part, the B part, they're expecting the situation from the A. briefly describe the expected effects on the coronary blood flow in these subjects. Okay, so I put both lah the examiner report. So almost half pass lah this. So untuk for for A, macam this question test the candidates on the sympathetic fight or flight lah response. So the sympathetic flight response effect to the coronary blood flow. So untuk P2, for this part, a handful of candidates were able to describe that tachycardia lah causes decreased perfusion of the ventricles through the shortened diastole. So many candidates, however, failed to understand that an increase in cardiac work would lead to the secretion of vasoactive mediators, causing vasodilation and increase in coronary flow. So the failure to grasp this concept lead to many of them stating myocardial ischemia as an outcome when adequate overall perfusion should be expected in a young, healthy man. They stated earlier, young, healthy. So marks were not
Menyebabkan myocardial ischemia. Part of this
young.
normal physiology kan. So because of the coronary positions to get better because of your vasodilatory response.
So this is my answers lah. So increased myocardial oxygen demand due to increased heart rate, contractility, and wall tension. So coronary vasodilation, metabolically mediated, example adenosine nitric oxide, increases in coronary blood flow. So although diastolic duration is shortened, which is reduced time for perfusion, coronary blood flow increases lah overall because this patient is healthy due to increased perfusion pressure.
90% daripada candidate jawab. Myocardial ischemia.
So young healthy individual, there is adequate coronary perfusion lah, is maintained or enhanced, preventing ischemia. Okay. So next is October 2018. I think the B part lah. Patnya A
Patient
part
of cardiac oxygen demand is advised. Okay.
So list the unique features of coronary circulations. So section E tu, candidates expect to state the factors affecting myocardial oxygen demand and supply. So have to mention demand, wall tension, including Laplace law, heart rate, contractility, vessel energy, metabolism, electrical activity of the heart, and external work performed. So for the supply, explain yang determinants of the coronary blood flow lah. So section B, candidates are expected to state the unique features of coronary circulation, which is short, basic, low during diastole, auto-regulated extravascular compression by left LCA during systolic phase, stalling resistor mechanisms, drains into the coronary sinus, and physiological shunts, and highest O2 uptake and consumption. So the examples for B lah, facial flow, predominantly diastolic. Left coronary artery flow mainly occurs during diastole due to systolic compression of intramyocardial vessels, especially in the subendocardium. For other auto-regulation, coronary blood flow tightly auto-regulated lah to match the myocardial oxygen demand via the metabolic adenosine nitric oxide, myogenic, and endothelial factors. For the extravascular compression, which is stalling resistor mechanism, coronary vessels are compressed during systole, especially left ventricle. So this limiting flow to the study. Number 4, high oxygen extraction and demand.
Yeah. Patient to engine. Tadi Pak. Mataran jadi tak? Ini panggil lah. Tak pilih ni. Tak apa lambat kalau penting apa.
Okay, last one is Jenny April 2015 lah. 6A to explain how coronary blood flow is maintained during episodes of hypotension. So B briefly compared the coronary perfusion pressure in the left and right endocardium in the two phases of the cardiac cycles. So C, explain how a patient with aortic stenosis has a higher risk of MI. Ini a bit clinical and applied lah. Ini saya tak letak ni. But I do. Actually, yang part A tu, explain how coronary blood flow maintained during episodes of hypotension tu, boleh letak auto-regulations and neurohormonal factors lah. So for the auto-regulation tu, coronary blood flow is maintained through auto-regulation, primarily mediated by myogenic mechanisms, local metabolites, such as adenosines and nitric oxides. So reduced perfusion pressure leads to arteriolar dilation lah, which help sustain the flow. Point 2, neurohormonal factors, activation of the sympathetic nervous system with released catecholamines, which can increase coronary perfusion pressure indirectly by raising aortic diastolic pressure. For B tu, briefly compare the coronary perfusion pressure in the left and right endocardium. Actually, this one lah. Sorry, yang tadi I tunjuk dekat cardiac cycle tu. Yang ni lah. Actually, dia nak yang this one, bukan yang dia letak dekat. Sebabnya gambar ni ada dalam buku tu je. Dalam examiner report. Tak ada dalam buku ni. So, for the left endocardium, compare, so boleh buat yang same dengan difference lah. For marks, left endocardium, right endocardium, blood flow for both the coronary arteries are from the aorta lah. With the aortic root pressure as the driving pressure for perfusions. So can be divided into, kalau left side, the pressure is much higher lah. Left endocardial systolic and the diastolic pressure is 120/0 lah. Whereas for the right endocardium, the diastolic pressure, systolic and diastolic pressure are 25/0. So both coronaries have difference in coronary perfusion pressure, which is derived from the equation. Coronary perfusion pressure is aortic root pressure minus intraventricular pressure lah. So the left CPP, the left coronary perfusion pressure is 0 to 80 millimeter mercury, while the right CPP is 80 to 95. So left ventricular perfusion pressure equals to 0 at systole. Number 6C, explain how a patient with aortic stenosis has a higher risk of myocardial ischemia. So in aortic stenosis, the heart is hypertrophy. So with increased oxygen demand, will decrease output from the aorta. So this decreased supply and increased wall tension will increase wall demand, and altogether will decrease the coronary perfusion pressure. So then decrease cardiac output, compensatory increased heart rate will decrease the diastolic time. So further push the patient for aortic stenosis suffer increased risk of myocardial ischemia. Dia buka markah macam banyak tak tahu nak
Kita pasal endocardium supply tadi. That one is also important. The variations of your endocardial blood supply, especially during synchronic phase. Right, because of the hypertrophic muscle also. And then also your the diversion of your blood flow to your diaphragmatic vessel. So coronary sinus and the vessel. Okay. Any questions before we end? So this topic is very important. I believe that it will come out in your exam in whichever way lah, sama ada your SAA ataupun your SAQ ataupun your Viva. Dia akan keluar juga macam mana. Kalau you tak dapat masuk SAQ, dia tak dapat masuk Viva. So it is a must for you to understand the whole concept really well, and then apa namanya tu, konsep memang tu memorize the ni lah yang macam pressure, macam pressure, apa namanya tu, slow apa Egger-Pulsar's law, semua tu kan yang dia akan isyaratkan pada L tadi.
For pi R4.
So yang dia kena lah. Because you will be using that formula all over again. Bila you cerita pasal benda-benda lain pun you using that formula. Okay, good. Any questions before we end?
Dia tahu which one dominant left or right side into.
Itu because this I see just now sebab sometimes your sector mainly supplied by which side? The left side kan. Tapi there's also the condition in which that your sector can be supplied by the right side because it is this the watershed area that can be supplied by the right side, can be supplied by your left side. So bila you dapat right side dominant, so condition tu dia macam right side dominant. So the supply of the right side of the right corner artery is more extensive. Jadi kalau you dapat blockade of your right coronary artery, then you can get all these sector problem kan. Tapi kalau yang left side dominant usually your whatever things is mainly supplied by the left side. Your contraction of your main chunk of your apa namanya tu left side of the heart is mainly by your left side kan. Tapi kalau your right side, so dia akan affect. So that's why you have to know because you want to know which in which apa namanya itu right side dominant, left side dominant, right side dominant of course ini apa namanya itu supply a little bit more of your left side structures kan. So that kalau you dapat usually kalau typically kalau patient yang right side dia akan dapat problems as inert saja kan, dapat arrhythmia contact or macam tu. Tapi when you have this kind of arrhythmia, but sometimes you can also have apa namanya itu myocardial apa namanya itu dysfunction at some sense. So you know that maybe this patient has a right side dominant because it's actually supplied to left side in the wall. Yep. Okay, thank you guys.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Okay.
Ready. Jadi nak buat semakin approach and yours. Nak